To His Grace Thomas, Duke of Newcastle, by Ambrose Phillips. My Lord, the honours of your ancient and illustrious family, which with noble writer Georgiana Sidney places among the first in these kingdoms for prerogative of birth, the titles which you have long worn with distinguished lustre, and the high station which you have many years filled and now fill in the government, give your Grace a just preeminence in the community. But they are excellences of the more exalted king, to which this tribute of my respect is paid. Your early zeal in the cause of liberty, which manifested itself at the close of a late reign, when the worst of schemes were promoted against this nation by the worst of men, the association, of which I had the honour to be an humble member, into which you then entered with some others eminent for their birth, fortune, and knowledge, for securing the succession of the house of Hanover to the throne of these kingdoms, your taste of useful and polite literature, and the encouragement which you have been always ready to give to it, your friendly regard to and connection with that university which has been the nurse of the greatest statesmen, heroes, philosophers, and poets of English growth, and the open liberality of your heart in all laudable occasions, must give you a place in the affections of all Englishmen who know the interest of the native country. And to those virtues, more than to the private friendship with which your Grace has long honoured me, I make this offering of a few poetical pieces, which will the produce of my leisure, but some of my most pleasant hours. Your Grace will be able to distinguish those which have been printed before from those which now make their first appearance, and I number among the felicities of my days this opportunity of approaching you with something perhaps not unworthy your acceptance, and I have the honour to be, my Lord, your Grace's most devoted, obliged, and most humble servant, Ambrose Phillips. Preface to Pastoral Poems by Ambrose Phillips. It is somewhat strange to conceive, in an age so addicted to our muses, how pastoral poetry comes to be never so much as thought upon, considering especially that it is of the greatest antiquity to have ever been accounted the foremost amongst the smaller poems in dignity. Virgil and Spenser made use of it as a prelude to epic poetry, but I fear the innocency of the subject makes it so little inviting. There is no kind of poem, if happily executed, that gives delight, and herein may the pastoral boast over a peculiar manner, for, as in painting, so in poetry, the country affords not only the most delightful scenes and prospects, but likewise the most pleasing images of life. Cassandrus, I remember, observes that Perieskius was a great lover of music, especially the melody of birds, because their simple strains have less of passion and violence, but more of a sedate and quiet harmony, and therefore they will rather befriend contemplation. In like manner the pastoral song gives a sweet and gentle composure to the mind, whereas the epic and tragic poems, by the vehemence of their emotions, raise the spirits into a ferment. To view a fair stately palace strikes us indeed with admiration, and swells the soul with notions of grandeur, but when I see a little country dwelling, adventurously situated amidst a beautiful variety of hills, meadows, fields, woods, and rivulets, I feel an unspeakable sort of satisfaction, and cannot forbear wishing my kinder fortune would place me in such a sweet retirement. Cretus, Virgil, and Spenser are the only poets who seem to have hit upon the true nature of pastoral compositions, so that it will be sufficient praise for me if I have not altogether failed in mind. The First Pastoral by Ambrose Phillips. Lubin. If we, O Dorset, quit the city throng to meditate in shades the rural song, by your command be present, and I'll bring the muse along, the muse to you shall sing. Her influence, Buckhurst, let me there obtain, and I forgive the famed Sicilian swain. Begin in unluxurious times of yore, when flocks and herds were no inglorious store. Lubin, a shepherd boy, one evening fair, as western winds had cooled the sultry air. As numbered sheep within the fold now penned, was plained him of his dreary discontent. Beneath a hoary poplars, whispering boughs, he, solitary, sat to breathe his woes, venting the tender anguish of his heart as passion taught and accents free of art, and little did he hope, while, night by night, his sighs were lavished was on Lucy bride. Ah, well a day, how long must I endure this pining pain? Or who should speed my cure? Fond love no cure will have, seeks no repose, delights in grief, nor any measure knows. And now the moon begins in clouds to rise, the brightening stars increase within the skies, the winds a hush, the dews distill, and sleep have closed the eyelids of my very sheep. I only with the prowling wolf constrained all night to wake, with hunger is he pained, and I with love. His hunger he may tame, but who can quench our cruel love thy flame? Why loomed I, all as this poplar fair, upraised my heedless head, then void of care, among rustic roots the chief for wanton came. Nor could they merry make till Lobin came, who better seen than I in shepherd's arts, to please the lads and win the lasses' hearts. How defty to mine outen reeds so sweet, wont way upon the green to shift their feet. And varied in the dance, how would they yearn some well-devised tale for me to learn? For many songs and tales of mirth had I to chase the loitering sun adown the sky. But since Lucy coyly brought her spite within my heart, unmindful of delight, the jolly grooms I fly, and all alone the rocks and woods pour forth my fruitless moan. Oh, quit my wonted scorn, relentless fear, a lingering long I perish through despair. Had Rosalind been mistress of my mind, or not so fair, she would have proved more kind. Oh, think, unwitting maid, while yet is time, how flying years impair the youthful prime. The virgin bloom will not forever stay, and flowers, while left ungathered, will decay. The flowers in new returning seasons bring, but beauty faded has no second spring. My words are wind. She, deaf to all my cries, take pleasure in the mischief of her eyes. Like frisking heifer, loose and flowery mets, she gets where her roving fancy leads. Yet still for me, a tiresome chase. Shy as the fawn, she flies my fond embrace. She flies, indeed, but ever leaves behind. Fly where she will, her likeness in my mind. No cruel purpose in my speed I bear. 'Tis only love, and love I should still fear. What idle fears a maiden breast alarm? Stay, simple girl, a lover cannot harm. To sportive kidlings, both fair-flecked I rear, whose shooting horns like tender buds appear. A lambkin too of spotless fleece I breed, and teach the fondling from my hand to feed. Nor will I keys betimes to cull the fields of every dewy sweet the morning yields. From early spring to autumn late shall the bow receive gay garlands blooming our eyebrow. And when, but by these unavailing pains, the gifts alike and giver the disdains, now left, the rest of the glen, she deem me landless led, unworthy her esteem. Yet was she born like me of shepherd fire, and I may fields and lone herds acquire. Oh, would my gifts but win her wanton heart, or could I half the warmth I feel impart? How would I wonder every day to find the choice of wildings splashing through the wind? For glossy plums, how lightsome climb the tree, how risk the vengeance of the thrifty bee. Oh, if thou deign to live a shepherdess, thou lobin flock, and lobin shalt possess, and fair my flock. Nor yet uncomely, I, of liquid fountains flatter not, and why should liquid fountains flatter us, yet show the bordering flowers less beauteous when they grow? Oh, come, my love, now think the employment mean, the dams to milk and the lambkins wean, to drive afield by morn, the flattening ewes, the warm sun drink up the cooly dews, while with my pipe and with my voice I cheer each hour, and through the day detain mine ear. How would the crook beseem my lily hand, how would my younglings round me gazing stand? Ah, witless younglings, gaze not on her eye, whence all my sorrow, whence the death I die. O killing beauty, and O sore desire, must then my flutterings but with life expire? O blossoms every year the trees adorn, spring after spring I wither, nipped with scorn, nor trow I when this bitter blast will end, or if yon stars will e'er my vows befriend. Sleep, sleep, my flock, for happy ye may take sweet nightly rest, for still your master wake. Now to the morning moon, the nightingale, as slender warblings, tuned her pitiless tale, the lovesick shepherd listening, felt relief. Blessed with so sweet a partner in his grief, to by degrees, her notes and silent night to slumber soft his heavy heart invite. The Second Pastoral by Ambrose Phillips. Say not, is not Colinde I lonesome see, leaning with folded arms against the tree? Or is it age of late bedims my fight? 'Tis Colinde indeed, in both replied. The cloudy look, while melting into tears, unseemly, now the sky so bright appears. Why in this mournful manner art thou found, unthankful lad, and all things smile around. Or hearst not lark and linnet jointly sing, where notes blithe warbling to salute the spring? Coronet. Nor blithe their notes, not so my wayward fate, nor lark would sing, nor linnet in my state. Each creature, fainod, to his task is born, is way to mirth and music, I to mourn. Waking at midnight, I my woes renew, my tears soft mingling with the falling dew. Fainod. Small cause, I ween, as lusty youth to plain, or who may then the weight of earth sustain, when every slackening nerve begins to fail, and the loud presseth as our days prevail. Yet though with years my body downward tend, as trees beneath a fruit in autumn bend, spite of my snowy head and icy veins, my mind a cheerful temper still retains. And why should man, mishap what will, repine, soar every sweet and mixed with tears as wine? But tell me then, it may you relieve thy woe, to let a friend thine inward ailment know. Colline. Idly 'twill waste thee, fainod, the whole day, shouldst thou give ear to all my grief can say. Thine ears will wonder, and the heedless lambs and loud complaints requires the absent dams. Fainod. See, Lightfoot, he shall tend them close, and I, 'tween whiles across the plain, will glance mine eye. Colline. Where to begin I know not, where to end. Thus were one smiling hour my youth attend. Though few my days, as will my follies show, yet are those days all clouded hour of woe. No happy gleam of sunshine doeth appear, my lowering sky and wintry months to cheer. My piteous plight in yonder naked tree, which bears the thunder scar to plainer sea. Quite destitute it stands of shelter kind, the mark of storms and sport of every wind. The riven trunk feels not the approach of spring, nor birds among the leafless branches sing. No more beneath her shade shall shepherds throng with jocund tale or pipe or pleasing song. Ill-fated tree, and more ill-fated I, from thee, from me, like a shepherd's fly. Fainod. Sure woe and harmless hour of time was bound, when lightning mildews spoil the rising corn. Or blasting winds or blossomed hedgerows pass to kill the promised fruits and scorn the grass, or when the moon by wizard charm foreshows blood-stained and full eclipse impending rose. Untimely born, ill lack betide thee still. Colline. And can there, Fainod, be a greater ill? Fainod. Nor fox, nor wolf, nor rot among our sheep, from these good shepherds care his flock may keep. Against ill luck, alas, all forecast fails, nor toil by day, nor watch by night avails. Colline. I me, the while, I me, the luckless day, a luckless lad, befits me more to say. Unhappy hour, when fresh and youthful bud, unless Sabrina fair, the silvery flood. Ah, silly I, more silly than my sheep, which on the flowery banks I once so keep. Sweet are the banks, ah, when shall I once more with ravished eyes review thine emerald shore? When in the crystal of thy water skin each feature faded in my colour, when shall I see my hut, the small about myself that raise, and cover all with sod? Small though it be a mean humble cell, yet are there room for peace and me to dwell. Fainod. And what enticement charm thee far away from thy loved home, and let the heart astray? Colline. A lewd desire strange lands and swains to know. O God, that ever I should cover the woe. With wandering feet unblessed, and fond of fame, I sought I know not what beside the name. Fainod. Or sooth to say, didst thou not hither roam, in search of gains more plenty than at home? Rolling stone as ever bare of moss, and to their cost green years old proverbs cross? Colline. Small need there was, in random search of gain, to drive my pining flock aforth the plain, to distant camp. Fine gain at length that rode, to hoard up to myself such deal of foe. My sheep quite spent through travel and ill fare, and, like a keeper, rage brown and bare. The damp cold greensward for my nightly bed, and some flaunt willow's trunk to rest my head. Hard is to be of pinching cold the pain, and hard is want to the unpractised swain. But neither want nor pinching cold is hard to blasting storms of calumny compared. Unkind as hail it falls, the pelting shower destroys the tender herb and budding flower. Fainod. Slander the shepherds, count the vilest wrong, and what wounds sorer than an evil tongue? Colline. Untoward lads, the wanton imps of spite, make mock of all the ditties I indite. In vain, O Colin, thy pipe so shrill charms every rail and gladdens every hill. In vain thou seeks the coverings of a grove, in the cool shade to sing the pains of love. Sing but for wild, ill nature will prevail, and every elf have skill enough to rail. But yet, though poor and artless be my vein, Minalcar seems to like my simple strain, and while that he delighteth in my song, which to the good When Alcas doth belong, nor night nor day shall my rude music keys ask no more, so I will Alcas place. Fable. When Alcas, lord of these fair, fertile plains, preserves the sheep, no shepherd's reigns. For him our yearly wakes and feasts we hold, and choose the fairest firstling from the fold. He, good to all who good deserve, shall give thy flock to feed, and thee at ease to live, shall curb the malice of unbridled hunts, and bounteously reward thy rural songs. Cartertet. First then shall lightsome birds forget to fly, the briny ocean turn to pastures dry, and every rapid river keys the flow of eye, unmindful of the Michael's glow. Fable. This night thy care with me forgot, and fouled thy flock with mine, to ward thee injuries cold, new milk and clouded cream, my cheese and curd, with some remaining fruit of last year's hoard, shall be your evening fare, and for the night sweet herbs and moss, which gentle sleep invite. And now behold the sun's departing ray, out yonder hill, the sign of ebbing day, with songs the jovial hints return from plough, and unyoked heifers loitering homeward low. The Third Pastoral by Ambrose Phillips. Albino. When Virgil thought no shame the Doric reed to tune, and flocks on Mantuan plains to feed, with young Augustus' name he graced his song. And Spenser, when amid the rural throng he carolled sweet and graced along the flood of gentle femmes, made every sounding wood with good Eliza's name to ring around. Eliza's name on every tree was found. Since then through Anna's cares at ease we live, and see our cattle unmolested thrive, while from our Albion her victorious arms drive wasteful warfare, loud and dire alarms. Like them will I my slender music raise, and teach the vocal valleys Anna's praise. Meantime, on outland pipe a lowly lay, as my kids browsed obscure in shades I play, yet not obscure, while Dorset thinks no scorn to visit woods and swains ignoble born. Two valley swains, both musical, both young, in friendship neutral and united long, retire within a mossy cave to shun the crowd of shepherds and the noonday sun. A gloom of sadness overcast their mind, revolving now the solemn day they find. In young Albino died, his image dear, bedews their cheeks with many a trickling tear. To tears they add the tribute of a verse these Angelot both Pelin did rehearse. Angelot was yearly circling bypass time return, and yearly thus Albino's death we mourn, sent into life on us, how short thy stay, how sweet the rose, how speedy thy decay. Can we forget, Albino dear, thy knell, sad sounding white from every village bell? Can we forget how sorely Albion moaned at hills, dales, rocks, and echo ground, presaging future woe, when for our crimes we lost Albino, pledge of peaceful times, fair boast of this fair island, darling joy of nobles high and every shepherd boy? No joyous pipe was heard, no flocks were seen, no shepherd found upon the grassy green, no cattle grazed the field, no drank the flood, no birds were heard to warble through the wood. In yonder gloomy grove outstretched he lay, his lovely limbs upon the damp's decay. On his cold cheek the rosy hue decayed, and o'er his lips the deadly blue displayed. Bleating around him like his plaintive sheep, and mourning shepherds come in crowds to weep. Young Buckhurst comes, and is there no redress? As if a grave regarded our distress, the tender virgins come, to tears yet new, and give aloud the lamentations due. The pious mother comes, with grief oppressed. Here trees and conscious fountains can attest with what sad accents and what piercing cries she filled the grove, and important the skies, and every star upbraided with his death, when in her widowed arms, devoid of breath, she clasped the sun. Not of the nymph, for this placed in her dearling's welfare all her bliss, him teaching young the harmless crook to wield and rule the peaceful empire of her field. As milk-white swans on streams of silver show, and silvery streams to grace the meadows flow, as corn the vales and trees the hills adorn, so thou to thine an ornament wast born, since thou, delicious youth, didst quit the plains, the ungrateful ground we till with fruitless pains, and laboured furrows thou with choice of wheat, and over empty sheaves and harvests sweat, a thin increase our fleecy cattle yield, and thorns and thistles overspread the field. How all our hope is fled like morning dew, and scarce did we thy dawn of manhood view. Who now shall teach the pointed spear to flow, to whirl the sling and bend the stubborn bow, to toss the quoit with steady aim, and far with sinew force to pitch the messy bar, nor darst thou live to bless by mother's days, to share her triumphs and feel her praise, and foreign gems to purchase early fame, and add new glories to the British name. Oh, peaceful may thy gentle spirit rest, the furry turf lied upon thy breast, nor shrieking owl, nor bat, by tomb fly round, nor midnight goblins revel o'er the ground. Palin. No more mistaken, Angelot complain. Albino lives, and all our tears are vain. Albino lives, and will forever live, with myriads mixed, who never know to grieve, or welcome a stranger guest, nor fear ever to mourn his absence with a tear, where cold, nor heat, nor irksome toil annoy, nor age, nor sickness comes to damp their joy. Another joy nymph, who bore him, gains the land to rule, and shields the simple swains, while from above Proptius he looks down. For this, the welkin does no longer flown, each planet shines indulgent from his sphere, and we renew our pastimes with the year. Hills, dales, and woods, the thrilling pipes resound, the boys and virgins dance, with chaplets crowned, and hail Albino blessed. The valleys ring, Albino blessed, how now, if ever, bring the laurel green, the smelling eglantine and tender branches from the mantling wine, the dewy coastlet which in meadow grows, the fountain violet and the garden rose, marsh lily sweet, and tufts of daffodil, the 40-year cull from wood, or verdant hill, whether an open sun or shade they blow, or early summer and summer unfolding flow, bring in heapless canisters of every kind, as if a summer had with spring combined, and nature fall to assist your care. Let no profusion for Albino spare. Your hamlets strew in every public way, and consecrate to mirth Albino's day. Myself will lavish all my little store, and deal about the goblet flowing hour. Out of Moline there shall harp young Myko sing, and Cardi dance around amid the ring, and Albino his antic gambots play. To thee these honours yearly will we pay, nor fail to mention thee in all our cheer, and teach our children the remembrance dear, when we our shearing feast or harvest keep, to speed the plough and bless our thriving sheep. My willow kids and herbage lambs pursue, while bees laugh vine and locusts sip the dew, while birds delight in woods, when outs to strain by name and sweet memorials shall remain. The fourth Pastoral by Ambrose Phillips. This place may seem for shepherds' leisure made, so close these elms inweave their lofty shade. The twining woodbine how it climbs, the brief refreshing sweets around on all beneath. The ground with grass of cheerful green bespread, through which the springing flower uprears the head. Lo, here the kingcup of the golden hue, medleyed with daisies white and endive blue, and honeysuckles of a purple dye, confusing gay, bright waving to the eye. Hark, how they warble in that brambly bush, the gaudy gogfinch and the speckly thrush, the linnet green with others famed for skill, and blackbird fluting through his yellow bill. In sprightly concert how they all combine, as prompting in the various song to join. Up, argle then, and to thy lip apply the mellow pipe, or voice more sounding try, and since their ooze have graced, what harm if they lie round and listen while the lambkins play? Argle, well, my cow, can thy deity wit express fair nature's bounties in the fairest dress? 'Tis a rapture all, the place, the birds, the sky, a rapture works the fingers fancy high. Sweet brave fields, and now a gentle breeze moves every leaf and trembles through the trees. Ill such incitement skewed my rugged lay, befitting more the music or can't play. Myko. No skill of music con I, simply swain, no fine device mine ear to entertain. Albeit some deal I pipe, rude thou would be, sufficient to divert my sheep and me. Yet Collinet, in Collinet half skill, oft guides my fingers on the tuneful quill, and fain would teach me on what sounds to dwell, and where to sink and out, and where to swell. Argol. Ah, Myko, half my flock would I bestow, should Collinet to me his cunning show. So trim his sonnets are. I pry thee, swain, now give us once an example of his strain. For wonders of that let the shepherds say, how sweet his pipe, how ravishing his lay. The sweetness of his pipe and lay rehearse, and ask what boon thou willest for thy verse. Since when thou lived a mournful song I choose, a mournful song relives a mournful muse. Fast by the river on a bank he sate, to weep for lovely maids until they fade. Fair Stella, hide. A lovely maid was she, whose fate he wept, a faithful shepherd he. Awake, my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and Collinet's distress. O woeful day, O day of woe to me, that ever I should live such day to see, that ever she could die, O most unkind, to go and leave the coronet behind, from blameless love and plight troth to go, and leave the coronet a life of woe. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Yet I blame her, for fain would she, with dying arms, have clasped herself to me. I clasp her too, but death proved over strong, nor woes nor tears could fleeting life prolong. Yet how shall I from woes and tears refrain, and why should woes, alas, and tears be vain? Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Aid me to grief of bleating moan, my sheep, aid me, for ever-flowing stream to weep. Aid me, ye fain, ye hollow winds to sigh, and woe my woe, assist me woe to die. My flock nor stream, nor winds nor woes relief, she laughed through life, and I through life will grieve. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Ye gentler mates, companions of my fair, with downcast look and with dishevelled hair, all beat the breast, and wring your hands and moan, her hour untimely might have proved your own. Her hour untimely help me to lament, and let your hearts at Stella's name relent. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. In vain the endearing lustre of your eyes we dote upon, and you as vainly prize. What though your beauty bless the faithful swain, and in the enarmoured heart like queens ye reign, yet in the prime does death the fairest kill, as the ruthless winds the tender blossoms spill. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Such Stella was, yet Stella might not live, and what could coronet and ransom give? Oh, if our music's voice or beauty's charm could mildden death and say his lifted arm, my pipe her face my pipe might save, redeeming each the other from the grave. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Ah, fruitless wish, fell death's uplifted arm, nor beauty can arrest, nor music charm. Behold, O baleful sight, see where she lies, the budding flower unkindly blasted dies. Nor though I live the longest day to mourn, will she again to life and me return. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Unhappy coronet, what boots thee now to weave afresh garlands for thy Stella's brow? Nor garland evermore may Stella wear, nor see the flowery season of the year, nor dance nor sing, nor ever sweetly smile, and every toil of coronet beguile. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Throw by the lily, daffodil and rose, wreaths of black yew and willow pale compose, with painful hemlock, deadly nightshade dressed, such chaplets as may witness chine unrest. If aught can witness, O ye shepherds tell, when I am dead, no shepherd laughed so well. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Alack, my sheep, and thou, dear spotless lamb, by Stella nursed, who weaned me from the dam, what heed give I to aught but to my grief, my whole employment and my whole relief? Stray where ye lived, some happier master try, yet once my flock was none so blessed as I. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. My pipe, whose soothing sound could passion move, and first taught Stella's virgin heart to laugh, should silent hang upon this blasted oak, whence owls their dirges sing and the ravens croak, nor lark nor linnet shall by day delight, nor nightingale suspend my moan by night. The night and day shall undistinguished be, alike to Stella and alike to me. Awake my pipe, and every note express fair Stella's death and coronet's distress. Thus sorrowing did the gentle shepherd sing, and urge the valley with his wail to ring. And now with sheep hook for my song I crave. Ah, not this, but one more costly shalt thou have, of seasoned elm, where studs of brass appear to speak the giver's name, the month and year, the hook of polished steel, handle formed, and richly by the carver's skill adorned. O coronet, how sweet thy grief to hear! How does thy verse subdue the listening ear, soft falling as the still, refreshing dew, to slake the drought and herbage to renew, but half so sweet the midnight winds, which move in drowsy murmurs over waving grove, nor valley brook that, hid by elders, speeds or pebbles warbling, and through whispering reeds, nor dropping waters, which from rocks distil, and valley grots with tinkling echoes fill. Thrice happy coronet, who can relieve heart anguish sore and make it sweeter grief, And next we shall make up bear the bell, who can repeat thy peerless song so well. But see, the hills increasing shadows cast, the sun, I ween, is leaving us in haste, his weekly rays faint glimmer through the wood, and blue mists arise from yonder flood. Mirko. Bid then our dogs together in the sheep. Good shepherds with her flock betimes should sleep, who late lies down, thou knowest, as late will rise, and sluggard-like to noonday snoring lies, while in the fold his injured eyes complain, and after dewy pastures bleed in vain. The Fifth Pastoral by Ambrose Phillips. Cuddy. I and bashful into woods and thickets fly, mistrusting then our skill, yet if through time our voice improving gain a pitch sublime, by growing virtuous sackful shall engage my riper verse more aspiring age. The sun now mounted to the noon of day began to shoot direct his burning ray, when with the flocks their feeders sought the shade, a venerable oak wide-spreading made. What should they do to pass the loitering time? As fancy led, each formed his tale in rhyme, and some the joys and some the pains of love, and some to set our strange adventures strove, the trade of wizards some, and Merlin's skill, and whence the charms such empire audible. When Cuddy last, who Cuddy can excel, a neat device his tale began to tell. When shepherds flourished in Eliza's reign, there lived in high repute a jolly swain, young Colin Clod, who well could pipe and sing, and by his notes invite for the laying spring. He, as his custom was, at leisure late, in woodland bower, without a rival played, soliciting his pipe to warble clear. Enchantment sweet as ever wont to hear, belated wayfarers from wake of fair, detained by music hovering on in air, drawn by the magic of the enticing sound, what troops of mute admirers flocked around. The steerlings left their food, and creatures wild by nature formed insensible grew mild. He makes the gathering birds about him throng, and louds the neighbouring branches with his song, where with a crow the nightingale of fame, jealous and fond of praise, to listen came. She turned her ear, and pause by pause, with pride, like echo to the shepherd's pipe, replied. The shepherd heard with wonder, and again, to try her more, renewed his various strain. To all the various strain the plies he flowed, and adds peculiar grace to every note. If Colin, complaining, excellent grief, or brisk emotion to his measure give, if gentle sounds he modulate, or strong, she, not a little vain, repeats the song, but so repeats that Colin half despised his pipe and skill around the country prized, and sweeter songster of a winged kind. What thanks, said he, what praise shall I find to equal the melodious voice? And thee, the rudeness of my rural fife I see. From thee I learn no more to vaunt my skill. Aloft in air she sate, provoking still. The vanquished swain, provoked at last, he strove to shew the little minstrel of a grove. His utmost powers, determined once to try how art exerting might with nature vie. But why could none with either in their part with her nature nor with him in art? He draws some breath, his rising breast to fill, throughout the wood his pipe is heard to shrill. From note to note, in haste, his fingers fly, still more and more the numbers multiply. Now they thrill, and now they fall and rise, and swift and slow they change with sweet surprise. Attentive she doeth scarce the sounds retain, but to herself first comes the passing strain. And tracing heedful note by note repays the shepherd in his own harmonious lace, through every changing cadence runs at length, and adds in sweetness what she wants in strength. And Colin, through his fifth disgraced aside, while the loud triumph sings, proclaiming wide her mighty conquest, and within her throat towards many a wild, unimitable note, to foil her rival. What could Colin more? A little harp was old, but newly strung, which usual he across his shoulder hung. Now take, delightful bird, my last farewell, he said, and learn from whence thou dost excel no trivial artist, and e'en he wound the murmuring strings and ordered every sound. When earnest to his instrument he bends, on both hands pliant and the strings extend. His touch the strings obey, and the rigors move, the lower answering still to those above. His fingers, restless, traverse to and fro, as in pursuit of harmony they go. Lightly skimming over strings they pass, like winds with gentle brush the plying grass, where melting airs arise at their command, and now, laborious with a weighty hand, he sinks into the chords of solemn pace, to give his swelling tones a bolder grace. Now the left, and now he turns the right, each other chase, harmonious both in flight, when his whole fingers blend a swarm of sounds, till the sweet tumult through the harp rebounds. Keys, Colin, keys! The rival keys to vex, the mingling notes, alas, the ear perplex. She warbles, dividend, in hope and fear, and hits in perfect accent. lessons here and there, and fain would utter forth some double tone, when soon she falters and can utter none. Again she tries, and yet again she fails, for still the harp's united power prevails. Then Colin played again, and playing sung, she with a fake love of glory stung. He is all in pain. Her heart begins to swell, and pity's notes. She sighs the notes which tell her bitter anguish. He still singing plies, his limber joins, her sorrow higher rise. How should she be a conqueror who before nor equal through the girl from music bore? She droops, she hangs her flagging wings, bemoans, and fetcheth from her breast melodious groans. Oppressive grief at last to great quell, down breathless on the guilty harp she fell. Then Colin loud lamented o'er the dead, and unavailing tears profusely shed, and broke his wicked strings, and cursed his skill, and read to make atonement for the ill. If for such ill atonement might be made, he builds a tomb beneath a laurel shade. When adds a verse, and sets the flowers to the ground, and makes a fence of winding osiers around. A verse and tomb is all I now can give, and here my name, at least, he said, shall live. Thus ended Cuddy with the setting sun, and, by his tale, unenvied praises won. The sixth Pastoral by Ambrose Phillips. Geron. How still the sea, behold, how calm the sky, and how in sportive chase the swallows fly. My goats, secure from harm, small tendons need, while high on yonder hanging rock they feed. And here below the banky shore along, your heavers grace. Now then to strife in song prepare, as eldest Hobbinol begin, and Languid's rival verse by turns come in. Hobbinol. Let others stake what chosen pledge we will, or kid or lamb or mazer wrought with skill. For praise we sing, no wedger aught beside, and whose the praise let Geron's lips decide. Languid. To Geron I my voice and skill commend, a candid umpire and both a friend. Geron. Begin then, boys, and very well your song. Begin, nor fear from Geron's sentence wrong. A box and halt boy, loud and sweet of sound, all varnished and with brazen ringlets bound, I to the victor give, no mean reward, if to the ruder village pipes compared. Hobbinol. The snows are melted, and the kindly rain descends on every herb and every grain. Soft balmy breezes rave along the sky, the bloomy season of the year is nigh. Languid. The cuckoo calls aloud his wandering laugh, the turtle's moan is heard in every grove, the pastures change, the warbling linnets sing, prepare to welcome in the gaudy spring. Hobbinol. The locusts in the ferny bushes cry, when ravens pant and snakes in caverns lie, graze when in woods, and quit the shadeless plain, else shall ye press the spongy teat in vain. Languid. Then greens to yellow vary, and ye see the ground bestrewed with fruits of every tree, and stormy winds are heard, think winter near, the thrust too far for the declining year. Hobbinol. Woven alack before the spendthrift swain, when frost and snow and hail and sleet and rain by turns chastise him, while through little care his sheep unsheltered pine in nipping air. Languid. The land of forecast when untroubled seas, the white bleak plains and silvery frost trees, he sends his flock, and, clad in homely phrase, in his warm cot the wintry blast defeats. Hobbinol. Full fain, O blessed Eliza, would I praise the maiden rule and Albion's golden days, when gentle Sidney lived, the shepherd's friend, eternal blessings on his shade attend. Languid. Thrice happy shepherds now, for Dorset laughs, the country news and our resounding grows, while Anna reigns, however may she reign, and bright on earth a golden age again. Hobbinol. I laugh in secret all, a beauteous maid, and have my laugh in secret all repaid. This coming night she plights her troth to me, divine her name, and vow the victor be. Languid. Mild as the lamb, unharmful as the dove, true as the turtle, is the maid I love. How we in secret laugh I shall not say, divine her name, and I give up the day. Hobbinol. Soft on a cowslip bank my laugh and I together lay, a brookland murmuring by. 1,000 tender things to me she said, and I 1,000 tender things repaid. Languid. In summer shade behind the cocking hay, what kind endearing words did she not say? Her lap with apron decked she fondly spread, and stroked my cheek and lulled my leaning head. Hobbinol. Breath soft, ye winds, ye waters gently flow, shield ye trees, ye flowers around her grow. Ye swains, I beg ye, pass in silence by, my love in yonder vale asleep does lie. Blanket. Once Delia slept on easy moss reclined, her lovely limbs half bare in the road of the wind. I smothered the couch and stole a silent kiss. Condemn me, shepherds, if I did amiss. Hobbinol. As merry and bath by chance I passed by, she blushed and at my glanced a sidelong eye. When, covering in the treacherous stream, she tried her tempting form, yet still in vain to hide. Blanket. As I, to cool me, laughed one sultry day, fond Lydia, lurking the sedges lay, the wanton laughed and seemed in haste to fly, yet oft she stopped and oft she turned her eye. Hobbinol. When first I saw what I have never seen, young lizard lead the dance in yonder green, intent upon her beauties as she moved, poor heedless wretch at unawares I loved. Blanket. When Lucy decks her flowers her swelling breast, and on her elbow leans dissembling rest, unable to refrain my maddening mind, nor hurts the pasture worth my care I find. Hobbinol. Come, Rosalind, oh come, for wanting thee, our peopled vale a desert is to me. Come, Rosalind, oh come, my brinded kine, my snowy sheep, my farm, and all are thine. Blanket. Come, Rosalind, oh come, here shady bowers, here cool fountains, and here spring flowers. Come, Rosalind, here ever let us stay, and sweetly while the lifelong time away. Hobbinol. In vain the seasons of the moon I know, the force of healing herbs and where they grow. My herb faced a season to remove from my fond heart the racking pains of love. Blanket. What profits me that I in charms have skill, and ghosts and goblins order as they will, yet have with all my charms no power to lay the spirit that breaks my quiet night and day. Hobbinol. Of it, like Colin, I had skill in rhymes to purchase credit with succeeding times. Sweet Colin cloaked, how never yet had a peer who sang through all the seasons of the year. Blanket. Let me, like Merlin, sing his voice had power to free the crisping moon at midnight hour. And as he sung, the fairies with their queen, and mantles blue, came tripping o'er the green. Hobbinol. Last effort made did I not hear them sing, and see their dance, and I can shew the ring. Where hand in hand they shift their feet so light, the graspings greener from their tread by night. Blanket. But hast thou seen the king in rich array, famed over the run with the mask robe so gay, and gay me crowned by moonshine sparkling far, and the azure sceptre pointed with a star? Geron, here end your pleasing strife, both victors are, and both of Colin may in rhyme compare. A waxen hautboy, loud and sweet of sound, all varnished and with brazen ringlets bound. To each I give, a mizzling mist is kens, a downward steepy rock, and this way tends yon distant rain. Shoreward the vessels strive, and see the boys with flocks to shelter drive. The Stray Nymph by Ambrose Phillips. Keys your music, gentle swains, saw ye Delia cross the plains? Every thicket, every grove, have arranged to find my love. A kid, a lamb, my flock I give, tell me only, do she live? White her skin as mountain snow, in her cheek the roses blow, and her eyes brighter far than the beamy morning star. When her ruddy lip here view, 'tis the berry moist of dew, and her breath, 'tis the gale, passing o'er fragrant vale, passing when a friendly shower freshens every herb and flow. White her bosom opens, gay as the primrose dell in May, sweet as violet waters growing of the fountains ever flowing. Like the tendrils of a vine do her auburn tresses twine, glossy ringlets all behind, streaming buxom to the wind. When along the lawn she bounds light as in before the house. And the youthful ring she fires, helpless in their fond desires, as her flitting feet advance, wanton in the winding dance. Tell me, shepherds, have ye seen my delight, my love, my queen? The Happy Swain by Ambrose Phillips. Have ye seen the morning sky when the dawn prevails on high? When anon some purple ray gives a sample of the day, when anon the lark on wing strives to soar and strains to sing? Have ye seen the ethereal blue gently shedding silver dew, springing o'er the silent green, while the nightingale unseen to the moon and stars full bright lonesome chants them of night? Have ye seen the broidery that May all a scented bloom display, breezes opening every hour, this and that expecting flower, while the mingling birds prolong from each bush vernal song? Have ye seen the damask rose her unsullied blush disclose, or the lily's dewy bell in her glossy white excel, or garden varied o'er with 1,000 glories more. By the beauties these display, morning, evening, night, or day, by the pleasures these excite, endless sources of delight, judge by them the joys I find, since my Rosalind was kind, since she did herself resign to my vows forever mine. To a friend who desired me to write on the death of King William, by Ambrose Phillips. Trust me, dear George, could I in verse but show what sorrow I, what sorrow all men, owe to Nassau's fate, or could I hope to raise a song proportioned to the monarch's praise, could I his merits or my grief express, and proper thoughts and proper language dress, unbidden should my peers' numbers flow, the tribute of the heart or a charge to the foe. But rather than profane his sacred hearse with languid praises and unhallowed verse, my sighs I to myself in silence keep, and inwardly with secret anguish weep. Let Halifax's muse, he knew him well, his virtues to succeeding ages tell. Let him, who sung warrior on the Boyne, provoke Dorset in the task to join, and shoot the hero more than man before. Let him the illustrious mortal's fate deplore. A mournful theme, while on raw pinions I but flutter and make weak attempts to fly, content if, to divert my vacant time, I can but like some love-sick fobbling rhyme to some kind-hearted mistress make my court, and, like a modest wit, in sonnet sport. Let others more ambitious rack their brains in polished sentiments and laboured strains. To blooming Phyllis I a song compose, and, for a rhyme, compare her to a rose. Then, when my fancy works, I write down more, to paint the blush, the dulcet cheek adorn, and, when the whiteness of her skin I show, with ecstasy bethink myself of snow. Thus, without pains, I tinkle in the close, and sweeten into verse insipid prose. The country scraper, when he wakes his crowd, and makes the tortured catgut squeak aloud, is often ravished and in transport lost. What more my friend can fame cruelly boast, when harmony herself from heaven descends, and on the artist's moving bow attends? Why then, in making verses, should I strain for wit, and of Apollo beg a vein? Why study Horace and the Stygian? Why cramp my dullness, and in torment write? Let me transgress by nature, not by rule, an artless idiot, not a studied fool, a vivas, not a rhymer, since I aim, and nothing less in writing than a name. From Holland to a Friend in England, by Ambrose Phillips. From Utrecht's silent walks by winds, I send health and kind wishes to my absent friend. The winter spent, I feel the poet's fire, the sun advances and the fogs retire. The genial spring unbinds the frozen earth, dawns on the trees and gives the primrose birth. Loosed from their friendly harbours, once again confederate fleets assemble on the main. The voice of war the gallant soldier wakes, and weeping Chloe parting kisses takes. On new plumed wings the Roman eagle soars, the Belgic lion in full fury roars. Dispatch the leader from your happy coast, the hope of Europe and Britannia's boast. O Marlborough come, fresh laurels for we rise, one conquest more, and Gallia will grow wise. Old Lewis makes his last effort in arms, and shews how, even in age, ambition charms. Meanwhile, my friend, the thickening shades I haunt, and smooth canals, and after rivulets pant. The smooth canals, alas, too lifeless show, nor to the eye, nor to the ear they flow. Studiers of ease, and fond of humble things, below the smiles, below the frowns of kings, thanks to my stars, I prize the sweets of life. No sleepless nights I count, nor days of strife. Content to live, content to die, unknown, lord of myself, accountable to none. I sleep, I bake, I drink, I sometimes laugh, I read, I write, I settle and I rove, when and where'er I please. Whereas every hour gives some new proof of my depostic power. All that I will I can, but when I will as reason bids. I meditate no ill, and, pledged with things which in my level lie, leave it to madmen o'er the clouds to fly. But this is all romance, a dream to you who fence and dance and keep the court in view, with staffs and trumsons, seals and gold keys, and silver stars, your towering genius please. Such manly thoughts in every infant rise, who daily for some tinsel trinket cries. Go on, and prosper, sir, but first from me learn your own temper, for I know you free. You can be honest, but you cannot bow and cringe beneath a supercilious brow. You cannot fall, your stubborn soul recoils at baseness, and your blood too highly boils. From nature some submissive tempers have, unkind to you, she formed you not a slave. A courtier must be subtle, full of guile, must learn to praise, to flatter, to revile, the good, the bad, an enemy, a friend, to give false hopes, and on false hopes depend. Go on and prosper, sir, but learn to hide your upright spirit, to be construed pride. The splendor of a court is all a cheat. You must be servile ere you can be great. Besides, your ancient patrimony wasted, your youth run out, your schemes of grandeur blasted. You may perhaps retire in discontent, and curse your patron for no strange event. The patron will his innocence protest, and frown in earnest, though he smiled in jest. Man only for himself can suffer wrong. As reason fails, as his desires grow strong. Hence, wanting ballast, and too full of fail, he lies exposed to every rising gale. From youth to age, for happiness he's bound. He splits on rocks, or runs his bark around, or, wide of land, a desert ocean views, and to the last, the flying port pursues. Yet to the last the port he does not gain, and dying finds too late he lived in vain. To the Earl of Dorset by Ambrose Phillips. From frozen climes and endless tracts of snow, from streams within northern winds forbid to flow, what present shall the muse to Dorset bring? Or here, so near the pole, attempts to sing? The hoary winter here conceals from fight all pleasant objects which to verse invite, the hills and dales, and the delightful woods, the furry plains and silver streaming floods. By snow disguised, in bright confusion lie, and with one dazzling waste fatigue the eye. No gentle breathing breeze prepares the spring, no birds within the desert region sing. The ships unmoved, the boisterous winds defy, while rattling chariots o'er the ocean fly. The vast Leviathan wants room to play, and spouts his waters in the face of day. The starving wolves along the main sea prowl, into the moon and icy valleys howl. O'er many a shining league the level main here spreads itself into a glassy plain. There solid billows of enormous size, Alps of green ice, and wild disorder rise. And yet, but lately have I seen, e'en here, the winter in a lovely dress appear. And yet the clouds that fall the drizzled snow are winds begun through hazy skies to blow. At evening a keen eastern breeze arose, and the descending rain unsullied froze. Soon as the silent shades of night withdrew, the ruddy morn disclosed at once to view the face of nature in a rich disguise, and brightened every object to my eyes. For every shrub, and every blade of grass, and every pointed thorn seemed wrought in glass. In pearls and rubies rich the hawthorns show, while through the eyes the crimson berries glow. The thick sprung reeds, which watery marshes yield, seemed polished lances in a hostile field. The stag and limpid currents, with surprise, sees crystal branches on his forehead rise. The spreading oak, the bech and towering pine, glazed over in the freezing aether shine. The frighted birds that rattling branches shun, which wave and glitter in the distant sun. When if a sudden gust of wind arise, the brittle forest into atoms flies, the crackling wood beneath the tempest bends, and in a spangled shower the prospect ends. Or, if a southern gale the region warm, and by degrees unwind the wintry charm, the traveller a merry country sees, and journeys sad beneath the dropping trees. Like some deluded peasant, Merlin leads through fragrant bowers and through delicious meads, while here enchanted gardens to him rise, and airy fabrics there attract his eyes. His wandering feet the magic paths pursue, and while he thinks the fair illusion true, the trackless scenes disperse in fluid air, and woods and wilds and thorny ways appear. A tedious road the very wretch returns, and as he goes, the transient vision moors. To the Right Honourable Charles Lord Halifax by Ambrose Phillips. Patron of verse, O Halifax, attend the muse's favourite and the poet's friend. Approaching joys my ravished thoughts inspire. I feel the transport, and my soul's on fire. Again Britannia rears her awful head, her fears transplanted to her foes are fled. Again a standard she displays to view, and all its faded lilies bloom anew. Here beauteous liberty salutes the fight, still pale, nor yet recovered of her fright. Whilst here religion, smiling to the skies, her thanks expresses with uplifted eyes. But who advances next with cheerful grace, joy in her eye, and plenty in her face? A wheaten garland does her head adorn. O property, O goddess English-born, where hast thou been? How did the wealthy mourn? Bankrupt nation sighed for thy return, doubtful for whom the spreading funds were filled, her fleets were freighted, and the fields were tilled. No longer, now shall France and Spain combine, strong in the golden Indies, all mankind. Brave Catalans, who for your freedom strive, and in your shattered bulwarks yet survive, for you alone worth your better fate, or may this happy change not come too late. Great in your sufferings, but my muse forbear, nor damp the public gladness with a tear. The hero has received their just complaint, graced with the name of our famed patron saint. Like him, with pleasure he forgoes his rest, and longs, like him, to succour the distressed. Firm to his friends, tenacious of his word, his justice calls, he draws or sheds the sword. Matured by thought, his counsels shall prevail, nor shall his promise to his people fail. He comes, desire of nations, England's boast. Already has he reached the Belgian coast. Our great deliverer comes, and with him brings a progeny of late succeeding kings, fate to triumph o'er Britannia's foes in distant years, and fix the world's repose. The floating squadrons now approach the shore, lost in the sailors' shouts, the cannons roar. And now, behold, the sovereign of the main, high on the deck, amidst his shining train, surveys the subject flood. An eastern gale plays through the shrouds and swells in every sail. The obsequious waves his new dominion on, and gently wafts their monarch to his throne. Now the glad Britons hail their king to land, hang on the rocks and blacken all the strand. But who with silent ecstasy can show the passions which in nobler bosoms glow? Who can describe the godlike patriot seer? Or who, my lord, your generous joys reveal? Ordained once more our treasure to advance, retrieve our trade and sink the pride of France, once more the long neglected arts to raise, and from each rising genius for the base. Accept the present of a grateful song, this prelude may provoke the learned throng. To camp and sith shall the joyful news be me conveyed, awaken every muse. Even now the vocal tribal verse conspires, and I already hear their sounding lyres. To them the mighty labour I resign, give up the theme, and quit the tuneful line. So when the spring first smites among the trees, and blossoms open to the vernal breeze, the watchful nightingale with early strains summons the warblers of the woods and plains. But drop her music when the choir appear, and listens to the concert of the year. To Miss Georgiana, youngest daughter to Lord Carteret, by Ambrose Phillips. Little charm of placid mien, miniature of beauty's queen, numbering years a scanty 9, stealing hearts without design. Young inveiler, fond in wiles, prone to mirth, profuse in smiles. Yet a novice in disdain, pleasure-giving without pain, still caressing, still caressed, vow and all the lovers blessed. Never teased and never teasing, or for every pleasure pleasing. High war British muse of mien, high war all the Grecian 9, with the lovely graces free, and your promised nursling see. Figure on her waxen mind images of life refined, make it as a garden gay, every bud of thought display. Till, improving year by year, the whole culture shall appear, voice and speech and action rising, all the human sense surprising. Is the silken web so thin as the texture of her skin? Can the lily and the rose such unsullied hue disclose? Are the violets so blue as her veins exposed to view? Do the stars in wintry sky twinkle brighter than her eye? Has the morning lark a throat sounding sweeter than her note? whoever knew the like before thee? They who knew the nymph that bore thee. From thy pastime and thy toys, from thy harmless cares and joys, give me now a moment's time, when thou shalt attain thy prime, and thy bosom feel desire, love the likeness of thy fire, one ordained through life to prove still thy glory, still thy love. Like thy sister and like thee, let thy nurtured daughters be, semblance of a fair who bore thee, trace the pattern set before thee, where the Liffey meets the main, as thy sister heard my strain. From the Liffey to the fens, minstrel echoes sing their names, wafting to the willing ear many a cadence sweet to hear. Smooth as gently breathing gales o'er the ocean and the whales, while the vessel calmly glides o'er the level glassy tides, while the summer flowers are springing and the new-fledged birds are singing. From Wiles and Wills by Ambrose Phillips. From wiles and wills to purling rills the lovesick Streven flies. There, full of rue, his numbers flow, and all in rhyme he dies. The fair coquette, with faint regret, invites him back to town, but when in tears the youth appears, she meets him with a frown. Full oft the maid this prank had played, till angry Strephon swore, and, what is strange, bore loth to change, would never see her more. Why We Love and Why We Hate by Ambrose Phillips. Why we love and why we hate is not granted us to know. Random chance or wilful fate guides the shaft from Cupid's bow. If on me Zelinda frown, madness 'tis in me to grieve. Since her will is not her own, why should I uneasy live? If I for Zelinda die, deaf to poor Misella's cries, ask not me the reason why, seek the riddle in the skies. To Signora Cuzzoni by Ambrose Phillips. Little siren of a stage, charmer of an idle age, empty warbler, breathing lyre, wanton gale of fond desire, bane of every manly art, sweet and fabbler of the heart. Oh, too pleasing is thy strain, hence to soften climes again. Tuneful mischief thou couldst spell, to this island bid farewell. Leave us as we ought to be, leave the Britons rough and free. To the memory of the late Earl of Halifax by Ambrose Phillips. Weeping o'er thy sacred urn, ever shall the muses mourn, sadly shall their numbers flow, ever elegant and woe. Thousands now be born shall die, thousands in oblivion lie, names which leave no trace behind, like the clouds before the wind, when the dusky shadows pass, lightly fleeting o'er the grass. But, O Halifax, thy name shall through ages rise in fame, sweet remembrance shalt thou find, sweet in every noble mind. To the Honourable Miss Carteret by Ambrose Phillips. Bloom of beauty, early flower of a blissful bridal bower, thou, thy parents' pride and care, fairest offspring of a fair, lovely pledge of mutual love, angel seeming from above. Was't not thou day by day dost thy very sex betray, female more and more appear, female more than angel dear? How to speak thy face in mien, soon too dangerous to be seen? How shall I, or shall the muse, language of resemblance choose? Language like thy mien and face, full of sweetness, full of grace. By the next returning spring, when again the linnets sing, when again the lambkins play, pretty sportlings full of May, when the meadows next are seen, sweet animal, wide and green, and the year in fresh attire welcomes every gay desire, blooming on shalt thou appear, more inviting than the year. Fairer sight when orchards show, which beside a river blows. Yet another spring I see, and a brighter bloom in thee, and another round of time circling still improves thy prime. And beneath the vernal skies yet a virgin more shall rise, over beauties kindling slow, in each finished future glow. In smiles and in disdain thou irk'st thy maiden reign, absolute to save or kill, fond beholders at thy will. Then the taper-moulded base, with the span of ribbon braced, and the swell of either breast, and the wide high-vaulted chest, and the neck so wide and round, little neck with brilliance round, and the store of charms which shine above in lineaments divine, crowded in a narrow space, to complete the desperate face, these alluring powers and more shall an armoured youth adore, these and more in courtly lace, many an acclaimed heart shall praise. Happy thrice and thrice again, happiest he of happy men, who in courtship greatly sped wins the damsel to his bed, bears the virgin prize away, counting life one nuptial day. For the dark brown dusk of hair, shadowing thick thy forehead fair, down the veiny temples growing, out sloping shoulders flowing, and the smoothly penciled brow, mild to him in every vow, and the fringed lid below, thin as thinnest blossoms blow, and the hazel lucid eye, whence heart-winning glances fly, and the cheek of health outspread with soft blended white and red, and the witching smiles which break round those lips which sweetly speak, and the gentlest of mind, gentle from a gentle kind. These endowments, heavenly dower, brought him in the promised hour, shall for ever bind him to thee, shall renew him still to woo thee. On the death of the Right Honourable William Earl Cowper by Ambrose Phillips. Wake the British harp again to a sad melodious strain, wake the harp whose every string, when Halifax resigned his breath, accused inexorable death. For I once more must in affliction sing, one song of sorrow more bestow, the burden of heart o'ercharged of woe. Yet, O my soul, if aught may bring relief, full many, grieving, shall applaud thy grief, the pious verse that Cowper does deplore, whom all the boasted powers of verse cannot restore. Not to her his fondest care, not to his loved offspring fair, not his country ever dear, from her, from them, from Britain torn. With her, with them does Britain mourn, his name from every eye calls forth a tear, and intermingling sighs with praise, all good men with the number of his days had been to him twice told and twice again in that sealed book, where all things which pertain the mortal man, whatever things befall, are from eternity confirmed beyond recall. Where every loss and every gain, where every grief and every joy, every pleasure, every pain, each bitter and each sweet alloy, to us uncertain though they flow, are preordained and fixed above. Too wretched state did man foreknow those ills which man cannot remove, vain is wisdom for preventing what the wisest life lamenting. High was sent who knows the day when he shall be called to be. Varies in the term assigned, an hour, a days, a months, or years. The breathing soul on earth appears, but through the swift succession of mankind, swarm after swarm, a busy race, the strength of cities, or of courts the grace, or who in camps delight, or who abide diffused o'er lands, or float on oceans wide. Of them, or many here long lingering dwell, and see their children's children, yet or few excel. Here we come and hence we go, shadows passing to and fro, seen awhile, forgotten soon, but woe to fair distinction born, woe Cowper, beamy in the morn of life, still brightening to the pitch of noon, scarce verging to the steep decline, hence summoned while thy virtues radiant shine, or singled out the fosterling of fame, secure of praise, no less secured from blame, shall be remembered with fond applause, so long as Britons are on the same indulgent laws. United in one public weal, rejoicing in one freedom all, Cowper's hand applied the seal, and levelled the partition wall. The chosen seeds of great events are vinely sown and slowly rise, and time the harvest's gift presents in season to the good and wise. Hymning to the harp my story, fain would I record his glory. Pouring forth with heavy heart truth unleafed pure of art, like the hallowed bard of yore, who chaunted in authentic rhymes, worthiest of the good old times. A living vice and verse was varnished o'er, and virtue died without a song. Support of friendness right to powerful wrong, a check behold him in the judgment seat, twice there approved and rightness complete. And just awards how gracious, tempering law, with mercy and reproving, with a winning awe. Hear him speaking, and you hear reason tuneful to the ear, lips with rhyme language sweet, distilling on the hearer's mind the balm of wisdom, speech refined celestial gifts. Oh, when the nobles meet, when next, O sea surrounding land, when nobles meet at Brunswick high command. In vain they shall the charmer's voice desire, in vain those lips of eloquence require, with mild conviction which the soul assails, by soft alarms and with the gentle force prevails. To such persuasion willing yields the liberal mind, in freedom trained, freedom which in crimson fields the hardy toil our fathers gained, inheritance of long descent. The sacred pledge so dearly prized, by that blessed spare we lament. Grief-easing lays, by grief devised, plaintive numbers gently flowing sootheth sorrows to him owing. Early on his growing hair, stamp what time may not impairs. As he grows, that coming years or youthful pleasures overvain, gigantic phantom of a brain, ambition breeding monstrous hopes and fears, or worthier cares to youth unknown, ennobling manhood, flower of life, full blown, may never were the bosom image faint, or let him prove, what words but weakly paint, the living lovely semblance of his fire, a model to his son, that ages may admire. Every virtue, every grace, still renewing in the race, once my father's pleasing hope, the widow's mother's comfort now, a fuller bliss does heaven allow, while we behold yon wide-spread azure cope, with burning stars thick lusted o'er, when to enjoy and to deserve a store of treasured fame by blameless deeds acquired, by all unenvied and by all desired, free gift of man, the tribute of goodwill, rich in this patrimony fair, increase its stead. The fullness of content remains above the yet unfathomed skies, where triumphant gladness reigns, their wishes, keys and pleasures rise beyond all wish, where bitter tears for dying friends are never shed, where, sighing, none desire past years recalled, or wish the future fled. Mournful measures, oh, relieve me, sweet remembrance, keys to grieve me. He the robe of justice wore, sulked not as heretofore, when the magistrate was sought with yearly gifts. Of what avail are guilty hoards, for life is frail, and we are judged where favour is not bought. By him forewarned, thou frantic isle, how did the thirst of gold thy sons beguile? Beneath the specious ruin thousands ground, by him, alas, forewarned, by him bemoaned, where shall his life on earth be found? Oh, when shall I once more behold the most beloved of men? Winning aspect, winning mind, soul and body aptly joined, searching thought, engaging wit, enabled to instruct or please. Uneating dignity with ease, by nature formed for every purpose fit, endearing excellence. Oh, why is such perfection born and born to die? Or do such rare endowments still survive, as plants removed to milder regions thrive in one eternal spring, and we bewail the parting soul, new-born to life that cannot fail? Where sacred friendship, plighted love, paternal joys unmixed of care, through perpetual time improve? Or do the deathless blessed share supply my raptures, unrevealed beyond our weak conception pure? But while those glorious lie concealed, the writers count the promise sure, trials to the last enduring, to the last their hope securing. To the Right Honourable William Pulteney, Esquire, by Ambrose Phillips. Who, much distinguished, yet is blessed, who, dignified above the rest, does still unenvied live? Not to the man whose wealth abounds, nor to the man whose fame resounds, does heaven such favour give, nor to the noble born, nor to the strong, nor to the gay, the beautiful or young. Whom then, secure of happiness, does every eye beholding bless, and every tongue commend? Him, Pulteney, who, possessing store, who, to mankind a friend, nor envies, nor is envied by, a great, polite in court, polited in his retreat. Whose unambitious active soul attends the welfare of the whole, when public storms arise, and, in the calm, a thousand ways diversifies his nights and days, still elegantly wise, while books, each morn, the lightsome soul invite, and friends with seasoned mirth improve the night. In him do men no blemish see, and factions in his praise agree, when most they vex the state, distinguished favourite of the skies, beloved he lives, lamented dies. Yet shall he not to fate submit entire? The rescuing muse shall save his precious name, and win him from the grave. Too frail is brass and polished stone, the pearl shall fain the muse alone on merit can bestow. Yet must the time-enduring song, the verse unrivalled by the throng, from nature's bounty flow. The ungifted tribe in metre pass away, oblivion sport the poets of a day. What laws shall o'er the out preside? In vain would art presume to guide the chariot wheels of praise, when fancy, driving, ranges free, fresh flowers selecting like the bee, and regularly strays, while nature does, disdaining aids of skill, the mind the thought, the ears with numbers fill. As when the Theban hymns divine make proud Olympian victors shine in an eternal blaze, the rhying measures, ever new, unbeaten tracks of fame pursue, while through the glorious maze the poet leads his heroes to renown, and weaves in verse a never-fading crown. To Miss Margaret Pulteney by Ambrose Phillips. Dimply damsel, sweetly smiling, all caressing, none beguiling, but of beauty fairly blowing, every charm to nature owing. This and that new thing admiring, much of this and that inquiring, knowledge by degrees attaining, day by day some virtue gaining. 10 years hence, when I leave chimming, beardless poets fondly rhyming, festooned now, perhaps in spelling, on thy riper beauty's dwelling, shall accuse each killing feature of a cruel, charming creature, whom I knew complying, willing, tender, and averse to killing. To Miss Charlotte Pulteney in her mother's arms by Ambrose Phillips. Timely blossom, infant fair, fondling of a happy pair, every morn and every night their delicious delight, sleeping, waking, still at ease, pleasing, without skill to please. Little gossip, blithe and hale, tailing many a broken tale, singing many a tuneless song, lavish of a heedless tongue. Simple maiden, void of art, babbling out the very heart, yet abandoned to thy will, yet imagining no ill, yet too innocent to blush, like the linnet in the bush, like the mother linnet's note, moulding her slender throat, chirping forth thy petty joys, wanton in the change of toys, like the linnet green in May, flitting to each bloomy spray, varied then and glad of rest, like the linnet in the nest. This thy present happy lot, this in time will be forgot. All her pleasures, other cares, ever busy time prepares, and thou shalt in thy daughter see this picture once resembled thee. To the Right Honourable Robert Walpole by Ambrose Phillips. Votary to public zeal, Minister of England's weal, have you leisure for a song, tripping lightly over the ton? Swift and sweet in every measure, tell me, Walpole, have you leisure? Nothing lofty will I sing, nothing of a favourite king, something rather sung with ease, simply elegant to please. They, virgin British muse, some unheard of story choose the glory of a swain, gifted with a magic strain, striking grief of every kind, healing with verse the mind. To him came a man of power, to him in a cheerless hour, when the swain, by Druids taught, soon divined his irksome fault. Soon the maple harp he strung, soon with silver accent sung. Steerer of a mighty realm, pilot waking o'er the helm, blessing of thy native soil, weary of a thankless toil, cast repining forth behind, give thy trouble to the wind. Mortal, destined to excel, bear the blame of doing well, like the worthies great of old, in the list of fame enrolled. What titles for decline, still the more by virtue shine. Envy with a serpent eye marks each praise that soars on high. To thy lot resign thy will, every good is mixed with ill. See the white unblemished rose on a thorny bramble blows. See the torrent pouring rain does the limpid fountain stain. See the giver of the day urgeth on through clouds his way. Nothing is entirely blessed, envy does by worth attest. Pleasing visions at command answer to my voice and hand. Quick the blissful scene prepare, soothe the patriot's heavy care. Visions cheering to the sight give them earnest of delight. Wise disposer of affairs, view the end of all thy cares. Forward cast thy ravished eyes, see the gladdening harvest rise. Now the people reap thy pain, mine the labour, there the gain. Yonder turn awhile thy view, turn thee to yon spreading yew. Once the gloomy tree of fate, once the plighted virgin's hate. Now no longer does it grow, parent of a warring bow. See beneath the guiltless shade, peasants shade the plough of spade. Rescued ever from the fear of a whistling javelin spear. Lo, where plenty comes with peace, here the breath of murmur cease. See at last unclouded days, here at last unenvied praise. Nothing shall thy soul molest, labour is the price of rest. Mortal destined to excel, bless the toil of doing well. Supplication for Miss Carteret in the Smallpox by Ambrose Phillips. Power o'er every power supreme, though the poet's hallowed theme, from the mercy seat on high, hear my numbers, hear my cry. Breather of all vital breath, arbiter of life and death, our preserve this innocence, yet unconscious of offence, yet in life and virtue growing, yet not dead to nature owing. Thou who givest angelic grace to the blooming virgin face, let the fell disease not blight what thou madst for man's delight. O'er her features let it pass like a breeze our springing grass, gentle as refreshing showers sprinkled over opening flowers. Or let years alone diminish beauties thou wast pleased to finish. To the pious parents give that the darling fair may live. Turn to blessings all their care, save her fondness from despair. Mitigate the lurking pains lodged within her tender veins. Soften every throb of anguish, suffer not her strength to languish. Take her to thy careful keeping, and prevent the mother's weeping. To Miss Georgiana, youngest daughter to Lord Carteret. By Ambrose Phillips. Little charm of placid mien, miniature of beauty's queen, numbering years a scanty 9, stealing hearts without design. Young inveiler, fond in wiles, prone to mirth, profuse in smiles. Yet a novice in disdain, pleasure giving without pain, still caressing, still caressed, thou and all their lovers blessed. Never teased and never teasing, or for every pleased and pleasing. High war British muse of mien, high war all the Grecian line, with the lovely graces free, and your promised nursling see. Figure on her waxen mind, images of life refined. Make it, as a garden gay, every bud of fond display. Till, improving year by year, the whole culture should appear, voice and speech and action rising, all the human sense surprising. Is the silken web so thin as the texture of her skin? Can the lily and the rose such unsullied hue disclose? Are the violets so blue as her veins exposed to view? Do the stars in wintry sky twinkle brighter than her eye? Has the morning lark a throat sounding sweeter than her note? Or ever knew the like before thee? Where you knew the nymph that bore thee? From thy pastime and thy toys, from thy harmless cares and joys, give me now a moment's time, when thou shalt attain thy prime, and thy bosom feel desire, love the likeness of thy fire, one ordained through life to prove still thy glory, still thy love, like thy sister and like thee. Let thy nurtured daughters be semblance of a fair who bore thee, trace the pattern set before thee, where the Liffey meets the main, as thy sister heard my strain. From the Liffey to the Thames, minstrel echoes sing their names, wafting to the willing ear many a cadence sweet to hear. Smooth as gently breathing gales o'er the ocean and the whales, while the vessel calmly glides o'er the level glassy tides, while the summer flowers are springing, and the new-fledged birds are singing. On the company of bad dancers to good music by Ambrose Phillips. How ill the motion with the music suits, so Orpheus fiddled, and so danced the brutes. Epigram by Ambrose Phillips. George came to the crown without striking a blow. Ah, quoth the pretender, would I could do so. What is thought by Ambrose Phillips? The hermit's solace in his cell, the fire that warms the poet's brain, the lover's heaven or his hell, the madman's sport, the wise man's pain. To Mr Addison on Cato by Ambrose Phillips. The mind to virtue is by verse subdued, and the true poet is a public good. This Britain feels, while by your lines inspired, her freeborn sons to glorious forts affired. In Rome had you espoused the vanquished cause, inflamed the senate and upheld the laws. Your Mendicines had liberty restored, and given with just success to Cato's sword. Over Caesar's arms your genius had prevailed, and the muse triumphed the patriot fate. On Wit and Wisdom by Ambrose Phillips. In search of wisdom, far from wit I fly. Wit is a harlot, beauteous to the eye, in whose bewitching arms our early time we waste, and vigour of our youthful prime. But when reflection comes with riper years, and manhood with a thoughtful brow appears, we cast the mistress off to take a wife, and, wed to wisdom, lead a happy life. Epitaph on the Monument of My Kinswoman by Ambrose Phillips. Let this inscription, appealing yet to testimonies manifold, recall to every surviving witness, and for ensample record to posterity her endowments, whether owning to the indulgence of nature, or to the assiduous lessons of education, or to the silent admonitions of reflection, to her parents, husband, children, in no care, no duty, no affection was she wanting, receiving, deserving, winning, from them respectively equal endearments. Of countenance and of disposition, open, cheerful, modest, of behaviour humble, courteous, easy, of speech affable, free, discreet, in civilities punctual, sincere, and elegant, prone to offices of kindness and goodwill, to enmity a stranger, forward, earnest, impatient, to succour the distressed, to comfort the afflicted, solicitous for the poor, and rich in store of alms, whereby she became the delight, the love, the blessing of all. In her household flourished cheerfulness, due order, thrift, and plenty, and the closet retired in the temple public. Morning and evening did she worship, by instruction, by example, sedulous to nurture her children in godliness, to bewail her love to them, visited a vet sore disease, which too often kills or bites, the mother's fondest hopes, that, regardless of self-preservation, and piously watching over their lives, she, catching the infection, lost her own, triumphing through resignation over sickness, pain, anguish, agony, and, encompassed with tears and lamentations, expired in the fervour of prayer. The Fable of Thule by Ambrose Phillips. Far northward, as the Dane extends his sway, where the sun glances but a sloping ray beneath the sharpest rigour of the skies, disdainful Thule's wintry island lies. Unhappy maid, thy tale, forgotten long, shall virgins learn from my instructive song, and every youth who lingers in despair, by thy example warn the cruel fair. In Cyprus, sacred to the Queen of Love, where stands her temple and her myrtle grove, was full born, uncertain how. 'Tis said once Venus won Adonis to her bed, and pregnant grew, the birth to chance assigned in woods and fostered by the feathered kind. With flowers some strew the helpless orphan drowned, with downy moss some spread the carpet ground. Some ripened fruits, some fragrant honey bring, and some fetch water from the running spring, while others warble from the boughs to cheer their infant charge and tune her tender ear. Soon as the sun forsakes the evening skies, and hid in shades the gloomy forest lies, the nightingales their tuneful vigil keep, and lull her with their gentler strains to sleep. This the prevailing rumour. As she grew, now dubious tokens spoke the rumour true. In every forming feature might be seen some bright resemblance of the Cyprian queen. Nor was it hard the hunter youth to trace in all her early passion for the chase. And when on springing flowers reclined, she sung, the birds upon the bending branches hung, while warbling she expressed their various strains, and at a distance charmed the listening swains. So sweet her voice resounded through the wood, they thought the nymph some siren from the flood. Half human was by lineage, half divine, in forests did the lonely beauty shine. like woodland flowers which paint the desert glades and waste their sweets in unfrequented shades. No human face she saw, and rarely seen by human face, a solitary queen she ruled and reigned her shady empire round. No horn the silent huntress bears, no hound with noisy cry disturbs her solemn chase. Swift as the bounding stick she wings her pace, and bend whene'er she will her even bow, and speedy death arrests the flying foe. The bow the hunting goddess first supplied, and the ivory quiver across her shoulders tied. The imperious queen of heaven with jealous eyes beholds the blooming virgin from the skies. At once admires and dreads her growing charms, and sees the god already in her arms. In vain she finds her bitter tongue reproves her broken vows and his clandestine loves. Jove still continues frail, and all in vain does fool in obscurest shades remain, while Maia's son, the thunderous winged spy, informs him where the lurking beauties lie. Would truer expedient then shall Juno bring to calm her fears and ease her boding mind? Delays to jealous minds a torment prove, and fool ripens every day for love. She mounts her car and shakes the silken reins. The harnessed peacocks spread their painted trains, and smooth their glossy necks against the sun. The wheels along the level Erzo run. Eastward the goddess guides her gaudy team, and perfects as she rides a forming scheme. The various orbs now pass down the steep of heaven the chariot whirls, and plunges deep in fleecy clouds, which o'er the midland main hang poised on air to bless the islands with rain. And here the panting birds repose awhile. Not so their queen, she gains the Cyprian isle, by speedy sapphires borne in thickened air. Unseen she seeks, unseen she finds the fair. Now o'er the mountain tops the rising sun shot purple rays. No fool had begun her morning chase, and printed in the dews her fleeting steps. The goddess now pursues, now overtakes her in the full career, and flings a javelin at the flying deer. Amazed the virgin huntress turns her eyes, when Juno, now Diana in disguise, let no vain terrors discompose thy mind. My second visit, like my first, is kind. Thy ivory quiver and my even bow did not I give? Her sudden blushes glow on fool's cheeks, her busy eyes survey the dress, the crescent, and her doubts give way. I own thee, goddess bright, and nymph replies, Goddess, I own thee, and thy favours prize. Goddess of woods and lawns and level plains, fresh in my mind thy image still remains. Then Juno, the Althea's ranger of the grove, my darling care, fair object of my love, hither I come, urged by no trivial fears, to guard thy bloom and warn thy tender ears. The first Olympionique by Pindar. Each element to water yields. Amidst the stores of wealth that builds the mind aloft is eminently right. But if my soul with fond desire to sing of games thou dost aspire, as thou by day canst not descry through all the liquid waste of sky one burnished star, but like the sun does glow, and cherish everything below, so my sweet soul now toil divine in song does like the Olympian shine. Hence do the mighty poets raise a hymn of every tongue the praise, the son of Saturn to resound, when far from every land they come to visit heroes' regal dome, where peace, where plenty is forever found. Lord of Sicilia's fleecy plains, he governs righteous in his power, and all excelling while he reigns, from every lovely virtue crops the flower. In music, blossom of delight, divinely skilled he cheers the night, as we are wont when friends design to feast and wanton o'er their wine. But from the wall the Dorian harp take down, if Pisa, city of renown, and if the fleet victorious steed, the boast of his unrivaled breed, heart-pleasing raptures did inspire, and warm their breast with sacred fire, when laid on Elfrius' crowded shore, forth springing quick, each nerve he strained, the warning of the spur disdained, and swift to victory his master bore. The laughed Saracen, the prince of the course, the king who delights in the speed of the horse. Great his glory, great his fame, throughout the land where Lydian Pelops came, to plant his men, a chosen race, and land the ocean does embrace. Pelops, whom Neptune, ruler of the main, was known to love, when into life again from the reviving cauldron warm, Clotho produced him whole, his shoulder blade, and its firm thereon of shining ivory made. But truth, unvarnished, oft neglected lies, and fable tales invented to surprise, in miracles mighty have power to charm, their fictions happily combined deceive and captivate the mind. Thus poesy, harmonious spell, the source of pleasures ever new, with dignity does wondrous tell, and we, amazed, believe each wonder true. Day after day brings truth to light, unveiled and manifest to sight, but of a blessed, those lips which name full deeds aloud shall suffer blame. We, son of Tantalus, my faithful song shall vindicate from every wrong, the glories of thy house restore, and baffle falsehoods told before. Now in his turn thy fire prepared a banquet when the gods appeared at Sipylus, his sweet abode, to grace the due proportioned feast, where first the trident-bearing guest beheld thy lovely form, and now he glowed. And now his soul subdued by love, thee in his golden car he bore, swift to the lofty towers of Jove, whose name the nations all around adore. Thus Ganymede was called on high to serve the power who ruled the sky. When thou no longer didst appear, and those who sought a pledge so dear, without thee to thy widowed mother came some envious neighbour, to defame thy father's feast, a rumour spread, a rumour through the country fled, that thou, to heighten the repast, wast into seething water cast, fierce bubbling o'er the raging fire, thy limbs without companion carved, thy sodden flesh in masses served, to gorge the gods and a voracious sire. But in thought ever pure shall I deem it amiss, while gluttons to call the partakers of bliss. Let me then the refrain and the dread. A curse hangs over the blasphemer's head, if they who supervise and ward the heavens did ever shew regard to mortal man. This Tantalus might boast of mortal man, that he was honoured most. But he not able to digest the glut, the surfeit of immortal joys, when heinous forfeit all his bliss destroys. For over him the Godhead hung in air, upon the stone a dreadful poise of care. From his head to remove it with terror oppressed, in vain he tries and seeks in vain one cheerful moment to regain. A life of woe beyond relief, his portion now ordained before, to torments of a threefold grief, this fourth was added to complete his store. Since high presuming in his soul, he nectar and ambrosia stole to give to man, by which he knew that tasting he immortal grew. But be not man deceived, the gods reveal what most we labour to conceal. For this the powers who deathless reign to earth sent down his son again, to dwell with man, a short-lived race, whose sudden fate comes on apace. His flowery age, in all its pride, when o'er his chin a blacked shade Oft down was cast a vow he made deep in his soul to win the proffered bride. Epidamia boasted name, from her great sire the peasant proud. Alone by night the lover came beside the hoary sea, and called aloud on him who sways the triple spear and fills with din the deafened ear. When at his feet the god arose, when Pelops eager to disclose his mighty care, O Neptune, if thy mind in love that ever pleasure find, let not Honour mirth prevail, and let his brazen javelin fail. O bear me hence on wheels of speed to Elis to the glorious meet. To victory, O whirl me straight, since after 10 and after 3 bold sustainer slain, yet still we see from year to year the promised nuptials wait. Of his daughter no perilous toil can excite the dastard in heart who despairs of his might, since we all are born to die, who overcast would in oblivion lie. In unreputant age decay, and meanly squandered life away, cut off from every praise, then let me dare this conflict in the dusty list to share, and prosper though my glowing wheels was Pelops' bow. Nor was his fervent prayer poured forth in fruitless words to wafted air. With deity his whole ambition grants, no shining car, nor coursers now he wants. In the golden bright chariot new vigour he feels, exulting in the horses fleet, unwearied ever, ever fleet. O ne'er must he triumphs o'er by prowess, and to share his bed claims the bright maid, who to him bore 6 princely sons to manly virtues bred. Now solemnized with steaming blood, in piteous reeds near Alpheus flood, entombed he sleeps, where the altar stands that draws the vows of distant lands. And round his tomb the circling racers strive, and round the wheeling chariots drive. In the famed courses, Pelops, rise the Olympian glories to the skies, and shine afar. There we behold the stretch of manhood strenuous, bold in sore fatigues, and where the strife of winged feet. Thrice happy he who overcomes, for he shall see unclouded days and taste the sweets of life. Thy boon, O victory, thy prize, the gold that in a day obtained from day to day fresh joy supplies, is the supreme of bliss to man ordained. But let me now the rider race, and crown him my alien race, the victor's due, and I confide, though ever welcome guest were tried, not one in all the concourse would be found for fairest knowledge more renowned, nor yet a master more to twine in lasting hymns each reffing line. The guardian god, who watchful guides thy fortunes, hero presides o'er all thy cares of anxious power, and soon, if he does not deny his needful aid, my hopes run high to sing more pleasing in the joyful hour. On thy chariot triumphant then thou shalt appear, and fly o'er the course with a rapid career, tracing paths of language fair, as I to Cronion's sunny mount repair. Even now the muse prepares to raise a grove, the strongest dart of praise for me to wield, approved, and other things do others rise conspicuous. Only kings high mounting on the summit fix, where bound thy view widespread, nor vainly try farther to stretch the prospect of thine eye. Be then thy glorious lot to tread sublime with steady steps the measured trail of time. Be mine with a prize-bearing worthies to mix in Greek throughout the learned throng proclaimed unrivalled in my song. The second Olympionique by Pindar. Sovereign hymns whose numbers sway the sounding harp, what god, what hero, say, what man shall we resound? Is not Pisa Jove's delight? And did not Hercules, with conquest crowned, to him ordain the Olympiad for an army slain, thank offering of war? And must we not, in ference right, exert our voice and swell our song? Thereon whose victorious car, 4 coursers whirl, fleeting along, to stranger guests, indulgent host of Agrigentum the support and boast, cities born to rule and grace, a fair blossom of his ancient race. worthy sore perplexed and fought, till one not far they found, what long they sought, a sacred seat fast by, where the stream does rapid run, and rain of Sicily the guardian eye, when happy days and wealth and favour flowed and praise, when inborn worth inflames Saturnian Jove, our Area's son, who our Olympus does preside, and the pitch of lofty games and Alpheus of rivers the pride. Rejoicing in my songs, do thou incline thine ear, propitious to my vow, blessing with a bounteous hand the rich hereditary land. The royal lineage down. Now power can actions past, whether deeds of right or wrong, as things not done recall, not even time, the Father who produces all. Yet can oblivion, waiting long, gathering strength through the length of prosperous times, forbid those deeds to last. Such force has sweetly healing joy, the festering smart of evils to destroy. When felicity is sent down by the will supreme, the full content. My daughters, Cadmus, they greatly wretched here below, blessed evermore this mighty truth display. No weight of grief, but whelmed pleasures, finds relief, sunk in the sweet abyss. Thou, Semele, with hair aflow, thou by thunder doomed to die, mingling with the gods in bliss, art happy for ever on high. We, Pallas, does for ever love, we chiefly Jupiter, who rules above. We thy son holds ever dear, thy son with the ivy-reft spear. Beauteous Inno, we are told, with the sea-daughters dwells of Nereus old, and has, by lot, obtained lasting life beneath the deep, a life within no bounds of time restrained. The hour of death, the day when we resign our breath, with offspring of the sun, which bids us from our labours sleep, in vain do mortals seek to know, or who destined is to run a life unentangled of woe. For none are able to disclose the seasons of the uncertain ebbs and flows, nor of pleasures, nor of pains, which hidden fate to man ordains. Thus Providence, that to the industry long famed, portions out a pleasing share of heaven-sprung happiness, thus, gazing in another turn of time to bless, distributes some reverse of care, as from years past appears, since the predestined son at Python named did Laius blindly meeting kill, and the oracle of old pronounced fulfill. Fell Aeris quick to view the deed his warlike sons in battle slew, each by the other's rage. But to Polynices slain survived their sunder, glory of his age for feats of war and youthful contests, honoured father Scion keep alive to raise the Adrestian house again. From whence Anesidamus, Herr, does his spreading root derive to branch out a progeny fair, who, springing foremost in the chase of fame, demands we should his triumph grace, tuning lyres to vocalize sweet union of melodious praise. For not only has he borne the Olympian thrice, but with his brother won the garland of renown. At Pytho and at Isthmus, where victorious both were shared the allotted crown, joint honour 1 and 12 impetuous coursers run before unwearied steeds. The vanquish in the strife severe does all anxiety destroy, and to this, if well succeeds, the virtues enameled with joy, luxuriant grows. Such affluence does glorious opportunities dispense, giving depth of thought to find pursuits which please a noble mind, with fulgent star to man the purest beam of light. The possessor of the stone far future things discerning knows, obdurate the wretched ones, deceased to mediate woes, consigned to late the pains deplore. For below, ere they go, sits one in judgment, who pronounces right on crimes in his wide realm of Jove, whose dire decree no power can e'er remove. But the good, alike by night, alike by day, the sun's unclouded light, beholding, ever blessed, live an unlaborious life, nor anxious interrupt the hello rest with spade and plough, the earth to vex, or with a plough the briny seed to eat, the bread of care and endless strife. The dread divinities among the few unaccustomed to wrong, who never broke with always war, a tireless aid and joy for evermore. Now the wicked hence depart to torments which appall the heart. But the soul so greatly dare thrice stride in either state, to preserve from all injustice pure, journeying onward in the way of Jupiter, in virtue still secure, along his route arrive at Saturn's raised abode, where soft sea breezes breathe round the island of the blest, where gay the trees with golden blossoms glow, where their rose and arms to wreath the bright gardens on every side blow. For, springing thick on every field, the earth does golden flowers spontaneous yield, and in every limpid stream the budding gold is seen to gleam. For heritage, a righteous Redevam's award, who, co-equal, takes his seat with Saturn's sire divine, like haunted Rhea, who above the rest does shine, high-throned, thou matron goddess great, these among blissful throng, does Peleus and does Cadmus find regard. And through his mother's winning prayer to Jove, Achilles dwells immortal there. He who Hector did destroy, the pillar firm, the whole support of Troy, and Cysnus gave to die by Auroras Ethiop's son. My arm beneath, yet many darts have I, all swift of flight within my quiver, sounding right to every skilful ear. But of a multitude not one discerns the mystery unexplained. He transcended does appear in knowledge from nature who gained his store, but the dull-lettered crowd and censor vehement in nonsense loud, clamor idly, wanting skill like crows and vain provoking still, the celestial bird of Jove. But to the mark address they bow, nor rove, my soul, and whom do I single out the fond desire, at him to let illustrious arrows fly, my fixed intent, my aim on Agrigentum bend, a solemn oath applied, sincere as honest minds require, but through 100 circling years with recorded worthies the right nor rivaling city appears, to boast a man more frank to impart kind offices to friends of open heart, or with hand amidst the store delighting to disturb more, when whereon yet full calumny, injurious blame, did the man of rank raise against his own renown, defamers who by evil actions strove to drown his good and to conceal his praise. Can the sand on the strand be numbered o'er, when, true to their fame, his favours showering down delight on thousands who is able to recite? On his lute by Anacreon, the line of Atlas will I sing, to Cadmus will I tune with string. But as from string to string I move, my lute will only sound of love. The chords I change through every screw, and model the whole lute anew. Once more in song my voice I raise, and Hercules my toils I praise. My lute does still my voice deny, and in the tones of love reply. Ye heroes, then at once farewell, love's only echo from my shell. On Woman by Anacreon. Nature the bull with horns supplies, the horse with hoofs she fortifies, the fleeting foot on hares bestows, and lion's teeth 2 dreadful rows. Grants fish to swim and birds to fly, and on their skill bids men rely. Woman alone defenceless live, to woman what does nature give? Beauty she gives instead of darts, beauty instead of shields imparts. Nor can with sword nor fire oppose the fair, victorious where she goes. On Love by Anacreon. One midnight when the bier did stand, a level with wit's hand, and with their labour sore oppressed, the race of men were laid to rest, then to my doors at unawares came Love, and tried to force the bars. Who thus assails my doors? I cried. Who breaks my slumbers? Love replied, Open, a child alone is here, a little child. You need not fear. Here through the moonless night I stray, and, drenched in rain, have lost my way. When moved to pity by his plight, too much in haste my lamp I light, and open, when a child I see, a little child, he seemed to me, who bore a quiver and a bow, and wings did to his shoulders glow. Within the hearth I bid him stand, and chafe and cherish either hand between my palms, and wring with care the trickling water from his hair. Now come, said he, no longer chill, we'll bend this bow and try our skill, and prove the string, how far its power remains unslackened by the shower. He bends his bow and culls his quiver, and pierces like a breeze my liver. Then leaping, laughing, as he fled, "Rejoice with me, my host," he said. "My bow is found in every part, and you shall rue it at your heart." O Venus, beauty of the skies, by Sappho. O Venus, beauty of the skies, to whom 1,000 temples rise, gaily false and gentle smiles, full of love perplexing wiles, of goddess. From my heart remove the wasting cares and pains of love. If ever thou hast kindly heard a song in soft distress preferred, propitious to my tuneful woe, O gentle goddess, hear me now. This can thou bright, immortal guest, and all thy radiant charms confessed. Thou once didst leave almighty Jove, and all the golden roofs above. The car the wanton sparrows drew, hovering in air, they lightly flew. As to my bower, they winged their way, I saw their quivering pinions play. The birds dismissed, while you remain, bore back their empty car again. Then you, with looks divinely mild, in every heavenly feature smiled, and ask what new complaints I made, and why I called you to my aid. What frenzy in my bosom raged, and by what care to be watched? What gentle youth I would allure, whom in my artful toil secure? Who does thy tender heart subdue? Tell me, my Sappho, tell me who? For now he shuns thy longing arms, he soon shall court thy slighted charms. For now thy offerings he despise, he soon to thee shall sacrifice. For now he flees, he soon shall burn, and be the victim in his turn. Celestial visitant, once more thy needful presence I implore. In pity come and ease my grief, bring my distempered soul relief. Favour thy suppliant's hidden fires, and give me all my heart desires. Blessed as the immortal God is he, by Sappho. Blessed as the immortal God is he, the youth who fondly sits by thee, and hears and sees thee all the while, softly speaking and sweetly smile. 'Twas this deprived my soul of rest, and raised such tumults in my breast. For while I gazed and transport tossed, my breath was gone, my voice was lost. My bosom glowed, the subtle flame ran quick through all my vital frame. O'er my dim eyes a darkness hung, my ears with hollow murmurs rung. In dewy damps my limbs were chilled, my blood with gentle horrors thrilled. My feeble pulse forgot to play, I fainted, sunk, and died away.